Most people think ignoring toxic people is the answer. It is not. Ignoring them is just losing quietly. What the Stoics actually taught will make toxic people rethink ever coming at you again, and you will not have to say a single rude word to do it. Here are 10 Stoic principles that will permanently end disrespect in your life. Number 1. Stop explaining yourself to people who have already decided who you are. Here is something that nobody tells you about toxic people. They do not want clarity. They want confirmation. When you sit down and try to explain your intentions, your choices, your character to someone who has already written you off, you are not having a conversation, you are auditioning, and the role is already filled. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus, a man who was literally born into slavery, never once begged his captors to understand him. He understood something that most people spend decades learning. Your reputation in someone else's mind is their business, not yours. The moment you start defending yourself to people who do not matter, you have handed them the remote control to your self-worth. Try this instead. Next time someone tries to bait you into explaining yourself, just smile and keep moving. That silence will shake them harder than any comeback ever could. And speaking of silence, number 2 is going to completely flip how you think about it. Number 2, use what the Stoics called strategic indifference, and watch disrespect dry up instantly. Strategic indifference is not the same as being cold or disconnected. It is the deliberate choice to not assign emotional weight to things that have no weight to begin with. Think of it like this. When you walk past a puddle on the sidewalk, you do not stop and argue with it. You step around it and keep going. Toxic people are puddles. They only become a problem when you stop to splash around in them. The Stoic emperor Marcus Aurelius wrote in his private journals, not for fame but for himself, that the best revenge against those who wish to disturb your peace is to simply not be disturbed. That is not a passive move, that is a power move. Choosing calm in the face of chaos is one of the most intimidating things a human being can do. The wild part is that strategic indifference actually changes how other people treat you permanently. Once they realize their attempts to get a reaction produce nothing, they move on. You become too boring to disrespect. But here is the thing about boring. Number 3 reveals why being emotionally boring to toxic people is actually the highest flex. Number 3. Master your face before you master your words. Your face is the most honest thing about you, and toxic people know it. Before you ever open your mouth, they are already reading your micro-expressions, your eye movement, the tiny tension in your jaw. That is how they calibrate how far they can push you. The second you flinch, even slightly, they have found the lever. Ancient Stoics trained themselves in what modern psychologists now call affect regulation. It is the ability to feel an emotion internally without broadcasting it externally. Zeno of Citium, the founder of Stoicism, was described by contemporaries as a man whose face looked the same whether he was receiving praise or insults. People thought he was strange. He was actually just free. Here is your real-world application. Practice this at the grocery store, in traffic, during a frustrating call with customer service. Train your face to stay neutral under low-stakes pressure so that when a toxic person comes swinging, your face says absolutely nothing. A blank face on a confident person is the most unsettling thing in the world to someone trying to provoke you. You have mastered your face. Now number 4 is about mastering something even more powerful. Number 4. Never compete with someone who has nothing to lose. This is the trap that destroys good people. You are living a real life. You have a career, relationships, a reputation, actual goals. A toxic person who is operating purely from ego and insecurity has none of that at stake. So when you engage them at their level, you are bringing a mortgage to a knife fight. You have way more to lose. The Stoics called this knowing your rank in the battle. Not in a hierarchical sense, but in a strategic one. A general does not personally wrestle every soldier in the enemy camp. That is not cowardice. That is intelligence. You do not dignify chaos with your best energy. The next time someone is trying to drag you into a pointless argument, ask yourself this one question: what does winning this actually get me? If the answer is nothing except the temporary satisfaction of being right, walk away. Walking away from a fight you could win is a level of self-discipline that most people never reach in their entire lives. And if walking away feels hard, number 5 gives you the exact mindset shift that makes it effortless. Number 5. Reframe disrespect as information, not injury. This one will rewire your brain if you let it. When someone disrespects you, your nervous system registers it as a threat, because evolutionarily, social rejection used to mean death. But you are not a prehistoric human fighting for tribe membership. You are a person with agency, and you can choose what information you pull from an interaction. The Stoics had a concept called the obstacle is the way. Most people know this phrase. Almost nobody uses it correctly in social situations. When someone disrespects you, that is data. It tells you exactly what kind of person they are, what insecurities are driving them, and how much further you need to keep them from your inner circle. You are not being hurt, you are being informed. Here is the practical shift. Instead of thinking, I cannot believe they just said that to me, try thinking, interesting, now I know. That 2-word response in your head, now I know, is one of the most emotionally protective phrases in the English language. It removes the sting and replaces it with clarity. Now that you know how to take in the information, number 6 teaches you what to actually do with it. Number 6. Set boundaries like a policy, not a personal attack. Most people set boundaries wrong. They announce them emotionally, in the heat of the moment, which makes the boundary sound like a punishment. Do not ever talk to me like that again, said through clenched teeth, is not a boundary. That is a threat wrapped in hurt feelings. Toxic people will poke at it just to watch you unravel. The Stoic way is to set limits the way a business sets its terms of service. Calm, clear, non-negotiable, and completely unemotional. You do not get angry at a vending machine for not accepting a crumpled dollar. You just straighten the bill or walk away. Your boundaries should operate the same way. Here is what that actually sounds like in real life. That does not work for me is a complete sentence. No justification, no softening, no apology tour, just that. People who respect you will respect the line. People who push back on it are telling you exactly why that line needed to exist. The calmer you are when you set the limit, the more powerful it becomes. And number 7 takes that power and turns it into something most people never expect from a Stoic practice. Number 7. Let your results be the loudest thing in the room. Here is a brutal truth. The best silencer for a toxic person is not a clever comeback. It is a life they cannot argue with. When you are genuinely building something, growing something, becoming something, criticism loses its grip on you naturally. You do not have to defend yourself because your life does the talking for you. The Stoic idea here comes from Cato the Younger, one of the most incorruptible figures in Roman history. He was mocked, undermined, and politically sabotaged for decades. His response was never to campaign for his own reputation. He just kept doing the work with absolute precision. Eventually, even his enemies cited his name as a standard of integrity. He did not win arguments. He outlasted them. You do not need everyone to understand your vision right now. You just need to keep building it. Because a year from now, 2 years from now, the results will say everything you never bothered to say out loud. And while your results are doing the talking, number 8 is what keeps your energy protected in the process. Number 8. Stop donating your mental real estate to people who cannot afford it. Your mind has limited space. Every minute you spend replaying a disrespectful conversation, rehearsing what you should have said, or stressing about what someone thinks of you is a minute taken from something that actually matters. Toxic people do not just want your reaction in the moment, they want to live in your head rent-free for weeks afterward. Do not be that landlord. The Stoics called this guarding the hegemonikon, which is roughly translated as the ruling faculty of the mind. It is the command center of your thinking, your attention, your internal narrative. They believed protecting it was not a luxury but a daily discipline. Every night, Epictetus essentially asked himself one question before sleep. Did I give my best thinking to things worth thinking about today? Most of us, if we are honest, would have to say no. Here is the reset. When you catch yourself mentally replaying a toxic interaction, physically say out loud or in your head, "That is not rent I am paying," then redirect. It sounds simple because it is. Simple habits executed consistently are exactly how the Stoics built unshakable minds. You have protected your mind. Now number 9 is about protecting something even more valuable. Number 9. Stop shrinking yourself to make uncomfortable people comfortable. This one hits differently because most of us were trained to do this from childhood. Keep the peace. Do not make it awkward. Be agreeable. And slowly, without even noticing, you start editing yourself. You get quieter in rooms where you should be speaking. You downplay wins around people who celebrate nothing. You dim the thing that makes you interesting because someone nearby is threatened by it. The Stoics called self-diminishment a form of injustice, not just to yourself but to the world. Marcus Aurelius wrote that a person who abandons their purpose to please others has surrendered the most important thing they were given, and he was talking about people who had every external reason to perform for an audience. He was literally emperor of Rome and still had to remind himself not to shrink. The practical move here is this. The next time you feel yourself getting smaller in someone's presence, notice it, name it, and then take up exactly the space you were going to take up before you noticed them. Not aggressively, just honestly. Confidence is not loud, it is just consistent. You are almost at number 10, and this last one is the one that ties everything together in a way nobody expects. Number 10. Become someone whose approval of themselves is enough. Every single point on this list leads here. The reason toxic people can disrespect you is because somewhere, even subconsciously, you are waiting for their approval to feel okay about yourself. The moment you genuinely stop needing it, and this is not faking it, this is actually doing the inner work until you mean it, the whole dynamic collapses. You cannot manipulate someone who does not need anything from you. The Stoics called this autarkeia, which means self-sufficiency of the soul, not arrogance, not isolation, just a deep settled knowing that your value is not determined by a vote. Seneca, in one of his lesser quoted letters, described the truly free person as someone who feels the same inside whether they are praised in public or criticized behind their back. That kind of stability is not something you are born with. It is built, one moment of self-validation at a time. Start today with one small act of keeping a promise you made to yourself. Not for anyone watching, just for you, because that is the foundation everything else gets built on. A person who consistently shows up for themselves does not need toxic people to confirm their worth, and toxic people somehow always know it. If this video cracked something open for you, do one thing right now, share it with someone who needs it, because the best way to protect your own energy is to help someone else protect theirs. Drop in the comments which of these 10 hit the hardest. And if you are serious about building this kind of unshakable mindset, subscribe, because this is just the beginning of what we are building here together.